So we just got the release of A Quiet Place Part 2, and it's a pretty solid follow-up to the previous film. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brandon, and this is Film Flare, where we discuss anything and everything that makes film and television great. So be sure to subscribe, and let's talk about a great movie. Once again being written by John Krasinski, this movie picks up almost immediately after the previous one, with the Abbott family choosing to pack their bags and head into the world outside of their little farm. And as they venture into the unknown, they realize that the creatures aren't the only thing lurking past the edge of their sand path. Now, while the first movie was a horror film, this one was more of an adventure type movie. You just end up losing the horror aspect of the movie when your characters can just stare down the monsters throughout the film. And at that point, they just cease to become scary. For most of the movie, it just didn't feel like our characters were in any real sort of danger. At least not from the monsters. There was still a ton of suspense, but relatively a lot less so than the first one. And this time around, most of that suspense comes from our characters interacting with other people. And speaking of the characters, I really liked John Krasinski's character a lot, but didn't realize just how good he was in the role until his absence was really made to be felt in this one. But while we only get him in the opening flashback sequence of this movie, we do get introduced to new characters and get to expand the world within the story. I also really do like the change of scenery as our family ventures out beyond their neck of the woods. And with that change of environment comes new human interactions. Outside of that one random man who wants to die in the first movie, it was just the Abbott family in their own little bubble. But in this one, we not only get to see more of the world, but also get introduced to other survivors and their stories as well. But as far as our main characters go, they were just as good in this one. Emily Blunt was excellent as always, and Noah Jupe really upped his performance in this movie. But without a doubt, the star of the show was Millicent Simmonds. This was her movie, and everyone else was just filling it out. Cillian Murphy was a great addition to the roster and also had a couple of nice little moments throughout the film. I do still have some questions about his character, but the film did give him a pretty good story on screen. Now, personally, overall, I did feel that this story was a little bit less compelling than the first movie. The Abbott family did feel more proactive in this story, but there just didn't feel like there were any sort of real stakes for them. And outside of a few key moments, this story just didn't feel like it was going anywhere for most of the film. Then, on top of that, almost every character makes at least one stupid decision that really doesn't make any sense. And had anything happened because of those decisions, it would have been hard to have any sympathy for them. But everything did manage to work out in the end, so they all get away with it. And I would have liked to have seen the reunion at the end of this movie. There was definitely some room in the runtime for it, but maybe John was just waiting for another sequel to put that on screen. The directing, however, was just as good, if not better in this one than the first movie. John Krasinski has really grown into his own behind the camera, and everything from the camera work to the sound design really helps to make this an enjoyable watch. And altogether, this film was pretty much on par with its predecessor, which is a really difficult thing to do when it comes to sequels. Now, I have to admit, after watching the first film, I was perfectly fine with that story being a one and done. But this one shows that there are real possibilities for interesting stories in this monster-infested world besides just the Abbott family. And I actually wouldn't mind seeing some of those stories on screen in future films. But what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. A Quiet Place Part 2 is available now in theaters. But before you go and watch that, please do be sure to give this a like and subscribe for more reviews like this. We've got new content coming out every Tuesdays and Fridays. But until next time, have a great day and don't forget to watch a great movie. Bye.
People that are left. They're not the kind of people worth saving.